220. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Wednesday Night Wars, AEW Bash at the Beach, NXT, more matches in the Dusty Classic. First round, we had a women's battle royal to determine the new number one NXT contender. A lot going on tonight. Major AEW news that broke this morning. Matt, how you feeling about the world of Wednesday Night Wrestling tonight?
Great. I thought AEW got him again tonight, though. That 8-man tag was it's sensational. I like the show. I liked it a lot.
What do you think, Justin? And do you think it was a mistake how NXT continues to program this against AEW right now that is on a roll?
Well, I mean, I know we all kind of expressed our, we're not overly thrilled about the tag team tournament. Doesn't give it all moved, but I mean, they're committed to it. They got to finish it now, so they're kind of locked into it for the next however much is left. Yeah. This is hard for NXT. I mean, AEW is bringing something nostalgic back and Bash at the Beach. Anybody that watched wrestling through the 80s and 90s, that's pretty cool to see back. That's one that Vince never did when he did Great American Bash, never did Bash at the Beach. So that's cool. It was a stacked lineup. The news you referenced, which I guess you're a little cliffhanger for people to hang on to later in the podcast.
Let's just open with it. Let's just open with the news, right? Matt, you saw the news today, right?
No.
Okay, good. AEW renewed by TNT through 2023. So we got 3 more years.
AEW Dynamite.
Yeah, AEW Dynamite. And straight to series order for another night of wrestling on TNT brought to you by AEW.
Wait, say that again? What's the second part?
There's going to be another night, another program on TNT brought to you by AEW. So they're going to get a second show. They've already got a straight to series order from the network. No launch date's been announced yet, but there's going to be another night of wrestling potentially, or another night they go head to head with WWE.
I hope they don't use it to do a package show, or a magazine show.
Yeah.
Like WWE used to do, WCW used to do. I hated those and I never watched them. I hope. You know what I bet you it's going to be? I bet you it could be Being the Elite.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's been speculation. I've heard from people today. There's no guarantee that it's going to be. I saw a lot of references of like, oh, this is their version of Thunder or Saturday Night on TBS. But there's no. I've also heard speculation that it might not be a straight wrestling show like Dynamite is, like Raw, SmackDown, NXT. That it could be something where it's a little more reality show based, where it's a way to tell the character stories a little bit more.
It's going to be different. I guarantee it's going to be different with knowing AEW and what they've set out to do, which is, not to sound corny, but change the world of wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. I bet you it's something different. I pray it's not a magazine show. Being the Elite, I think would be good. I think it would be a hit.
Yeah. I mean, good for them, man. And I think the ratings
good for them is right.
I mean, look at the ratings that they've had to date. NXT is struggling right now, not to stay on the air or anything, but they're struggling.
And what pisses me off, it doesn't, I shouldn't say it pisses me off because that sounds like I'm just being a hater. But what bothers me about the NXT stuff is why, instead of running counter programming to them and trying to compete, why not just give AEW that night? Do you know what I mean? And build a wrestling audience that, guess what? And wake up, WWE, you can't build.
Yeah.
Okay. So get them to do your work for you. You should have left AEW the freak alone to run Wednesday nights, build this new audience that is combined with an old audience that got away from wrestling a little bit over the years, right? Probably went to UFC instead and came back for nostalgia reasons because it's back on TNT. Let's say they sampled it. Maybe they liked it. Then you have the fans that love this new age, fast-paced, action-packed wrestling that AEW does. So here's an audience that WWE is really not building, let's say. Let AEW take over the entire night, get all the ratings they can, and then, and only then, once it becomes successful, then try to cut into that audience yourself. It's doing marketing for your own company when you think about it. If you really think long and hard about that, right? You guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You let them be the bait. You let AEW be the bait to go out and get new viewers. And then, if it works, then you as WWE, you try to see some of those acts that work and do it in your own company and then try to take some of those viewers from them. But build it first.
Well, going to what WWE insider Justin LaBar has said on this very podcast in the past, if we're
that Undertaker's coming back.
No, I think if WWE,
that's your favorite prediction, Justin LaBar, is your answer for everything is Undertaker's coming back.
No, I was gonna say if WWE really wanted to compete with AEW on one of these nights, put the all women show up against AEW.
How about this? Don't compete. Let the company build itself and then compete. You'll have a bigger prize. Right now, there's really no prize. Because listen, this is what people are going to say. If AEW continues to beat NXT, whoopee-doo, you're beating NXT. All right? Which I still argue is the best show in WWE, but others will say, no, it's Raw. It's a flagship show. All right? So if they really want to come, AEW is going to be anyway, it's got to be Raw. You know what I mean? For me to really think they're better than WWE.
So that's the question, the prediction I want from each of you, Matt. On this new night, does AEW pick a night with no wrestling, or do they go against WWE on Monday?
It depends. If it's a wrestling show, it's not going to matter. WWE is going to whatever you call it, counter produce them, whatever the hell the word is, counteract them.
Yeah.
If it's a show like I'm predicting it's going to be, being the Elite, so a show like that, no, I think it will be on its own night, like a Saturday night or something like that, is what I'm going to guess.
Okay, Justin, what do you think?
It's tough because I think AEW's been trying to do their pay-per-views on Saturday, correct? So that would make me go against it being a Saturday night show because you'd have
shit,
pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously there's only so many days in the week. I think SmackDown is going to move back to Tuesday sometime this year. I think Fox is going to move it back to Tuesday. Yes,
Justin, you're going to love this. Guess what just popped in my head? Do you remember we used to make fun of it, but I never missed an episode, and that was Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah.
And the reason why that was a smart play for WWE, because MTV was red hot at the time, it was a perfect play into their pay-per-view. So maybe AEW does something like that, where they do it being the Elite Series, where in the night of the pay-per-view, it airs, and it builds, the momentum for that pay-per-view that night without being a corny magazine show.
Yeah, maybe. We just have to keep in mind it's going to be on TNT, and obviously TNT has their hand deep in with the NBA. So we have to be mindful of what's already on certain nights. You don't want to be preempted half the year. So I don't know. That'll be interesting to watch.
See?
One of the biggest things that obviously this is great for the business. This is great for the wrestlers. Obviously. For WWE, you lose some negotiating hold. If WWE might have been able to hold on to some wrestlers who are like, I don't know if this AEW thing's going to work. Well, it's sticking around now.
Yeah.
One of the big things is a lot of the people that signed with AEW in this first year. So a lot of the building blocks that joined AEW from before Dynamite even launched. A lot of them got 3-year deals, and because obviously there's uncertainty of what's going to happen here. All of them had like a stipulation that in that third year, if the company was going to go under, that they would still get. They would still be owed a certain amount. So now that this is going through 2023, this helps AEW with some contracts and some stability to say, look, we're not going anywhere. We're here. We're here to stay. This is not a 1 year or 2 year project.
Sometimes always suggesting go against the final hour of Raw. I second that. Matt, what do you think?
I think that's a sweet name. Sometimes always.
Yes.
Really quick though, let me ask a question. Why was this renewed now? Like, is this considered premature?
Television Critics Association, they do this 2-week event in the winter and in the summer. So TNT had their day today, and they had all the TV press there, all the entertainment press there. They started their panel announcing this. And it's actually, it got a lot of attention. This was a top story on Deadline Hollywood today, which is a big entertainment site. Variety, the Hollywood Reporter covered this. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. They started their panel with this?
Yeah. Yeah, that was TNT's
that
big
is
news.
Enormous. That is huge.
So, So, it goes to show they are in the wrestling business. They are committed to it. And we'll see what happens. But it's funny. On this very podcast the other night, when we were talking, the Revival haven't signed. And I almost said out loud, guys, I think the ship has sailed. AEW is doing okay, but it's not setting the world on fire. I don't think they're going to be giving out big money deals anymore. Now if they've got another night, regardless of what the actual series is, this opens up room for more big talent, and they're going to need anchoring talent.
Listen, which made sense for you to say, but I would argue it still makes sense because it still has the new car. It's still losing that new car smell. It still is, regardless. I don't care what they program on that show. It could be Jesus Christ walking out there, like literally. And I'm telling you right now, it's still losing that car, the new car smell that every show loses eventually. So that's where their storylines have got to pick up. They've got to start pushing the right talent, which they've been starting to do, I feel. The big money players and the ones that can potentially make them more money, not worrying about every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the lower end of the card, in the middle of the card, but the guys that could be closing out shows or starting shows off, if you want to start with the main event, like it's happening so much in wrestling now, take care of those talents, and book them appropriately.
Yeah, I mean, AEW's obviously they've got some great numbers out the gate, relatively speaking. You're building from scratch. What I really want to know, though, like, we see all the, Jericho's got the best contract of his life, as he said, and they have this TV deal. They're doing a couple pay-per-views a year. They're not touring like WWE does. So they're not doing a lot of live events, and so there's a lack of gate. What I'm curious, like Glenn, you work in a business. Matt, you run a town. I work as a GM in a sports network. We all are familiar with P&Ls. Like, I really want to get a better grasp of like. What are they actually pulling in? What are the what did tonight's gate in Miami do? Like, I really wish that I could get a better understanding of like, you got to spend money to make money. I'm not expecting them to make money in the first year or even the second year, but I'm just curious, like, exactly like how much they're dumping into this and what are they expecting to get it back out, because they're not touring as much.
And here's the thing with this company, though. I really strongly feel their merch can really set them apart. I really do. Those fans love wearing their gear. They do make cool gear. So the downside of not running house shows is you lose that opportunity to sell them. But then here's my counter argument to my own point on that. And that is, well, guess what? It's the day and age of the internet, right? We get all of our shit online. I don't know about you guys. I get everything, sneakers, everything. I don't go to the stores no more. I get everything, generally speaking, online. It's faster. It's easier. I have a bigger variety to choose from. So I would be very interested to see how much money they make in merch. And then my next question is, how much of that do they – I'm imagining like the Young Bucks are not giving up to AEW, like 80% royalty rights to their gear. No way.
Yeah.
Because their shirts –
but if they did,
because their shirts aren't there, because their shirts are done with Pro Wrestling Tees, correct? So I'd be curious. Yeah, does every guy have their own deal? Like, I mean, Matt, because at one time I don't know if it still is at WWE. If you were a talent, you got like 3% of every shirt.
I don't remember the percentage, honestly. I just remembered. I didn't have a T-shirt with WWE. TNA I did, but I just remember like what the checks look like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember. Enzo, when he was making the rounds, talking about it, he was saying it's like less than $1 per shirt that he was making when he was the top merch seller for that period of time. Now, John Cena probably makes more, but I think that gives you an idea of what somebody through the NXT system is bringing in. I'm assuming AJ probably has a better deal.
You think?
Who knows?
Yeah, it's crazy. And Matt, to your point about the way people do things now, part of what.
The shirt sells for $25. I mean, you 3%, you'd be, like 75 cents potentially of,
which is crazy when you think about it. Kind of nuts. But what I was gonna say, Matt, to your point, is that TNT, part of what they're talking about, AEW is talking about, they're talking about all the impressions across social. It's not just about ratings. They're talking about the buzz this is building online. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So now, Justin, do you have the figure of what the TV deal is worth each year now? It's a pretty big number. I think it was in the ballpark of what NXT on USA is getting, correct?
The TV deal for who?
For AEW on TNT now, because
no, I don't, and that's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, I'm trying to figure out like what their revenue looks like.
So here's the other question though. You want to drive your business to TV for the viewership, so these ads will pay you more money, right? That's the name of the game, right? All right, guys. So while I agree, wrestling nowadays needs to be judged and gauged very differently than just TV ratings. It does need to be what your social media imprint is. What kind of run is your hashtags getting? What kind of run is your YouTube channels getting? What kind of run? Comments, even, I would argue. Does your posts get? All that glued into one, right? But then here's my question. How, as a company that makes commercial ads and wants to participate in this new gauge that you as AEW are trying to put out to the folks, how do they get their money back? Because they can only really advertise on TV. So here's where I think AEW needs to be smart and use these same sell what they're selling right now, not just the TV ratings, sell the social media stuff, the imprints on social media, the YouTube stuff, all that crap, right? The memes, even, as funny as that sounds, all that crap in one, right? Because they're right about that. It's drawing interest, it's getting eyeballs, it gets people's attention. So if I'm AEW, I would start running ads with those. I would bring them and say, hey, look, not only are we going to put you on our TV show during commercial break, Mr. Johnson & Johnson or whomever they use as an ad or company, but we're going to put you, on our YouTube. We're going to put you on our social media. So when you go to AEW's Twitter page and you watch a 30-second clip, they do throw a commercial in there really quickly so they can make even more ad revenue that way and not just keep it only isolated to television, because we're getting out of the television age.
You know what I'm surprised I haven't seen at pro wrestling? Well, WWE's never done this, and I haven't, and WCW did all the time, and is logos on the mat selling Snickers.
Right?
Snickers, Halloween Havoc.
Dude, I said that to
Snickers.
TNA years ago, bro, when they brought out 5 Hour Energy. I go, why are we not doing this all the time with many companies?
Right. I mean,
Mexico does it. I remember when I was a kid and I used to watch AAA or whatever, and I'd see what's the women's tampon company here that I'd always see their logo on their ring? Comet or Comex or something like that. I always remember that. Don't ask me. Yes,
dude. I mean,
don't ask me why, but I always remember them.
Don't ask me why I know the name of that.
I don't even I'm not even a sweets person. And 20 years later, I can remember that Snickers was always the Halloween Havoc WCW candidate.
Yeah.
It's so weird because you saw it over and over because you look at the ring the whole damn night. I'm surprised that
it's the greatest. It's called a canvas, ironically enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you know what Vince could get for a WrestleMania canvas if he sold sponsorship to?
I don't get why they don't. I never understood that.
Disturbed individual proving his statement. $5 super chat saying money talks. That's all.
Good job, disturbed individual.
Yes, I like that. I like people that spend money just to make a statement. God knows I've done too many of those. I think if you could see what's behind this backdrop in this office, a lot of stuff I bought just to make a statement, perhaps only to myself. Now it's cluttering up my office. Anyhow, so we're going to get into AEW and talk about tonight. Just a quick shout out that we've got. Raj forwarded this to me. That Wrestling Inc. is participating in promoting Bruggedown Entertainment and Face-to-Face Wrestling School are giving away a trip for two to the Bruggedown Wrestling event in Barbados. This event will feature many top stars like Marty Scurll, Flip Gordon, PJ Black, Brian Cage, Tyrus, Matt Sydal, Melina, and a host of other great wrestlers. Now, the trip includes airfare, hotel, front row tickets to the show, and a poster autographed by all of the talent. You must be at least 18 to enter and win, and other restrictions may apply. For more information, visit Face2Face, that's the number 2, Face2Face Wrestling on Facebook or Instagram. There are 3 ways to enter, which can be found on all of their social media outlets right now. Go to Face2Face Wrestling on Facebook or Instagram to learn more. And
come on, Raj. Why don't we get sent to Barbados?
It's true.
What's the name of this company?
This, I believe, Bruggedown, BRUGGADOWN. I apologize if I massacred that name, but they're partnering with Face-to-Face Wrestling School, and that's the one owned by, help me out, we've had him on the show before. Why am I blanking on this? I gotta look at it.
Give me the name of the city, and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
He's been on our show, Wrestling Inc.'s podcast?
Heath Slater.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So there you have it. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. I know this news, big news. And speaking of...
we're going to skim over NXT. We've already done it. When we get to that, we'll skim over NXT.
I feel like I have to bring this up. So, Matt, you mentioned what killer match they opened with this 4-way to determine the new number 1 contender for the tag team titles. Santana and Ortiz versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks versus the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy. Meanwhile, on NXT, I thought for some reason Keith Lee was getting his North American title bout tonight. And I was like, oh, they're opening up with that match. Good counter programming. But no, it was just Keith coming out there to cut a promo and then get attacked.
Nope. Yep. They smoked them in that opening segment. AEW smoked them.
So talk about what you loved about this 4-way tag match, Matt.
Every once in a, not every once in a while, it feels like every week actually, but I get to this point where I watch a lot of the tag team action and it gets moving so quick with these false finishes and these combinations, and I'm just going, holy shit, like bleep. Just so impressed by the athleticism. And usually, you know what? Okay, I'm a big mark for storylines and storytelling. I love all that, right? But again, there's that athlete part in me that's sitting there going, holy crap, I could never do, like, so much of that went on toward the end, the second half of that match, especially when the Young Bucks got in. I'm not just saying that because I'm boys or nothing like that. I'm being serious. When they got in toward the end, it was just boom, 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 boom. But it was 100 miles an hour, and people will say, "Well, that's the problem. They need to slow down more." Not me. Not for my taste nowadays. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Loved it. This is my favorite match tonight. I really dug it a lot, and there's so the innovation that was in that match. I'm always so impressed with. I really am.
The interesting takeaway is Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega are now the new number 1 contenders for the AEW World Tag Titles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just assuming that this implodes and sets up a one-on-one program between
Definitely.
them.
Well, yeah. But let's not get lost the story at the end here. The Young Bucks did a lot of the heavy lifting, as noted on commentary, and then Hangman and Omega got the victory. They stole. So there's something there, and there was a little bit of jaw jacking going on after. So. I mean, like Matt said, I mean, there's a lot of innovation. You got to appreciate the athleticism. I mean, you can certainly, if you sit down with a pen and paper, you can start to, who's the legal man? There can be things that you can critique at, but
so let me ask you guys a question. A lot of the barometer, like Raj uses, and some of us all use actually, is if you had one of your friends over that don't watch wrestling come in and watch the show, whether it's when we'll say that about Raw. Right, during like Lana and Rusev's wedding or whatever, Bobby's wedding or whatever. Crap like that. We're like, oh, we're embarrassed. This is embarrassing to be a fan. We wouldn't want to see our friends have to watch that, right? We'd be, embarrassed a little bit, right, with some of these horrible storylines. You bring in one of your friends that never watched wrestling and put one of those matches on, like that was put on with that 4-way tag team dance. You know what I mean? That's some stuff that they're going to ask questions about, and they're going to be freaking crazy impressed.
You're right. You bring in somebody. If you just bring in a casual person, they're gonna stop in awe at the athleticism. It's when you get the wrestling fans that will sit down and go, all right, well, like they didn't sell this here. They know so. That's when you get the critiques. Yes. I don't know if you speak of the critiques. Baron Corbin had a live tweet right after that match ended, and Baron Corbin ripped that match to shreds. AEW's opening match, so you can go check out his Twitter.
Yeah, but but what does Ja Rule think about the situation? Sorry. No, look, I think it was a great opening match.
It was fun.
The critique of it. And NXT, I mean, we'll talk about this more with NXT right now. I'm a mark for NXT. I love when people are like, oh, you're in the bag for AEW. It's like, I feel like I'm pretty critical of both sides, but NXT just blew the lead they had ending 2019 with that amazing go home. And they haven't gotten their footing back yet. It's really sad. I think AEW put on a stronger show tonight.
They absolutely did.
And there's no reason why NXT couldn't have been better, especially with that main event. I think it was just some other choices of
the tag team tournament. Like, I'm more interested to see once this tag team tournament blows over. Once that's over, then we'll have a better gauge again.
Yeah, but you're in the ratings war to determine the winner for Wednesday night. Why are you even doing the tournament when the tournament doesn't mean crap?
Really quick, let me answer this. This is Damian Watkins put in $2. Thank you, Damian. It says, Matt, you see the 9-man suplex in the first match? Let me just say, that was mad corny. I'm just gonna be honest. The 9-man suplex is some shit you should be doing on house shows. I will say that. But other than that, I did enjoy this match. And again, it smoked anything that NXT was putting out there at the same time.
I'd love to see Matt Morgan versus Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, can we book that for Mania weekend, Justin? Can we do that for Charity Mania weekend?
If Matt gives me the okay, I will make it happen. I will get a hold of Orange Cassidy. We'll make this happen. Matt's thinking. Look at the wheels turning.
What month is this? April?
Yes,
Yeah. So you've got something already. Aren't you doing a charity wrestling event, Mania weekend?
Yeah, I am.
His is Friday. We'll do. Where our thing's gonna be on Saturday, as we had our meeting earlier today. I'll make it happen. I will get a ring, and we will have Orange Cassidy versus Matt Morgan.
I'm down.
Okay.
There you have it. There you have it.
There you have
And
it.
then it's my prediction: the Undertaker will come back, and it's gonna be
And double goozle us.
yeah.
Well, we'll have more details about everything happening Mania weekend as we get a little bit closer here. But talks are underway. Planning is underway. So we got Cody out to the ring, and cutting this promo. Okay. So let me be a little critical about this, Matt. Do you think it was wise for them? I mean, this was an amazing promo tonight. This response to MJF, but I feel like this was forever ago that MJF issued these challenges and stipulations, and just tonight Cody is responding to it.
I agree. It was a great promo, but I would have liked to have heard it earlier. And I love the part about Wardlow, what he said as well. That made Wardlow look like even a bigger star already. That was awesome that he set the table really nicely for Wardlow, I thought.
Oh, that Wardlow is carrying MJF's bags, but MJF should be carrying Wardlow's.
Like, hey, what happens when that guy what's he gonna look like when he takes his suit off? What kind of animal is he gonna look like inside of a steel cage? Is he gonna steal your thunder? You know what? He's exactly right. What he said. That is what a wrestler would really worry about. And that's why he said he was curious as to why it didn't make sense. And why MJF was stupid for doing this. Because he called him out. He's like, he's gonna steal your thunder, dude.
Yeah. People pointing out Clay Ford, the best part of Cody's promo was the suit. The Miami Vice reference was awesome. For Bash at the Beach tonight, this didn't really feel like Bash at the Beach.
No, this was something different. And I know they used the play on words for nostalgia purposes, obviously. But guys, this was a completely different brand and marketing plan for this. There
was no sand at the entranceway. I really wanted sand. They had the beautiful lifeguard and the bikinis. There was no sand.
But this was 100%, Don Johnson, Miami Vice feel, which I liked. I thought the logo was dope. It was pretty cool. And then him doing his Don Johnson rendition was pretty sweet for what he wore to the ring.
I gotta give a shout out. I gotta give a shout out to Wrestling Inc.'s managing editor Nick Hausman. He had a tweet that I popped for with Cody coming out with the bleach blonde hair and the white suit and the white loafers. He said Cody looks like Zach Morris grew up to sell cocaine. And I said, yeah, he's selling it to Jessie Spano so she can stay up for those tests.
That's tremendous.
It was a good tweet. So shout out to Nick.
So we went from that to Joey Janela cutting a promo on Penelope and Kip Sabian.
Dug that.
Yeah. And then Brandy Rhodes and Mel with Luther in tow versus Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida.
All right, now this is where they start to lose me a little bit. Mel, sorry, got to take a hike. Luther, got to take a hike. I don't care about either one of them. I don't know. I think they lower Brandy and Kong. Don't you?
And Brandy was not supposed to be the match, mind you. This was supposed to be Mel and Kong apparently was not medically cleared due to an illness, so they had to substitute and put Brandy into this last minute today. So I think that took something away with it because I'd much rather see Kong in the ring than Brandy and have Brandy be on the outside being the leader or whatever. Again, same thing. I bitched about this last week. They had another spot there where the babyface girls pulled a chair off from under the ring. The ref is being distracted for what seems like an eternity just talking to Brandy. But one of my biggest nitpicks of tonight, it's not even a nitpick, it's important. They did this 3 times. This first happened in this women's match. I don't know, production keeps missing things. In the start of this match, as whatchamacallit, babyface girl's coming down, second one's coming out, Luther comes up to try to cut her off with the pass. The camera cuts away and misses her hit Luther, and the camera also then cuts away and misses Brandy and Mel attack Chris Statlander. They missed both initial strikes, and there's 2 other times in the show that I'll go at it that production missed. I don't know if they're not having production meetings. I don't know what the lack of, but and I know some fans go, "Oh, you're just picking on AEW." No, you have a good product, but I need to be able to see the freaking product. Don't cut away from
So
pivotal points.
You're right. I've noticed that almost every week. This episode happens actually, where they miss and cut away too early. Something bad that WCW used to do, actually. Not a good quality to take from them. But here's what I'll say, really quick. As soon as you're saying that, I'm thinking in my head, okay, so how are they missing these shots, right? Because Keith Mitchell is money and then some at his job. So they definitely have production meetings. So I'm thinking,
they gave him a shout
okay,
out.
So maybe they did. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well maybe it's the people of the gorilla position that are sending Luther too early, or on the headset not getting it to Keith quick enough. That, hey, now cut here. Hey, now cut to this camera. Okay, go back to the jib. Hey, go back to the hard camera now, which is what they do backstage when they're on their headsets. That's why it's important that the agents go through the matches with the talents so they know what cameras the talents are going to be doing X, Y, and Z in front of at that time. So somewhere along the way, there's a miscommunication in that process between the agents going over that match or the talents telling the agents for that match what's going to happen, and it's not happening at the time that they thought there was going to happen.
You're exactly right, Matt, because they missed that. But then there's other things. They cut away. This is no headset. With DDP, everybody knows his entrance. DDP, hands go up, and he does the bang, and pyro goes off. They cut away when the pyro went off. And there's several. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, it's maddening to me. Why?
I don't got one for that. I don't got one for that.
Damian Watkins with a super chat asking, what can AEW do to further their women's division?
Simple. Same thing I say about their men's division. Push the major stars. And in fact, I would argue the women's talent on this show is even more obvious as to who they are because they're megastars, in my opinion.
Yes. Shaman 103 saying send the women to the Performance Center.
Not all of them. I disagree with that. Not all of them. I would send some of the younger ones that haven't done it as long yet.
It's interesting. I mean, so I get with production, there are some hiccups, and we haven't heard stories. I mean, there are a couple producers that work with WWE, but we haven't heard stories about AEW poaching WWE camera guys or board switchers or board ops.
Well, those guys are all mostly freelance independent contractors.
Really? The guys that do WWE TV each week.
Most of your camera people it's with the same camera people every week, and it's just most of them, because several of them are actually based here, ironically enough. Most of them are all independent contractors, and then when they aren't on the road with WWE, they'll come film a Pirates game here or like whatever. Like
tons of sports.
Yeah. So they're not. So I mean, technically AEW, they're not WWE employees. Is my point, but they have such a good retainer situation with WWE that. They're not going to.
Shiva Jones in the chat saying, you're crying over production errors. Relax. It's a goddamn TV show. I'm watching television. Like, if it was a sporting event, I would have the same issue.
Yeah. Like, actually, I was thinking the fans were going to, start crying that we're putting the show over too hard, actually. So for that comment right there, it's like, wait, what? That's like us watching Seinfeld, and when Kramer comes sliding into the damn room, they miss it. Oh, wait, they don't.
Right.
Because it's a television show. We're telling stories that we need to see. I'm sorry. There's no excuse to be missing DDP's bang entrance. Yes. Sorry. There ain't no excuse in the world for that.
Every week. Every week they either have bad sound, they're missing shots. Like, this is becoming a really, really bad theme that is keeping them from going to the next level. And I think it's going to turn off some casual viewers. I mean, it's bad. Jose Yepes, though, pointing out at least they don't shake the camera. So there's that. But I would like to, actually see the finish to a match when it's happening and not still be on the instant replay. But, one can dream. And as Tammy said, if they're missing big spots, you got to call it out. It's a big deal. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, because back to the Shiva guy real quick, dude. Look,
I'm not tripping on Shiva.
No, but I just want to point out, because I'm sure there's many others that share his thing, and share his opinion. And the thing is, look, you can't have it both ways. If you want celebrate AEW is doing well with good content and they have live television, but you can't celebrate and say, oh, they're having live television, they're doing the same thing WWE's doing, and then not also hold them. I hold WWE accountable too if WWE was to miss shots like that. If you're live TV, there's challenges. I get that. I understand that. I'm just pointing out you have a good product. I don't want to miss the pivotal things. I don't want to miss what's.
No, don't. You don't got to back that up. That's called common sense. Why would you? Of course, you want to see that. That's part of the damn viewing experience.
I got an even better one for you, Matt. Listeners of this podcast in the past, Matt, you've worked on your audio, you've worked on your camera setup, your internet speed, and why? Because years ago, people were saying, "Oh, we want to hear what Matt has to say," but if we can't hear him well, that's a disconnect. So I think what's good for us is good for AEW or anyone else. Like, you have to put some thought into what you're putting out there if you want people to be able to appreciate it. Presentation counts.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. So in that match, Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida did win. We got this Dark Order promo. This was interesting, talking about how they've taken in literally thousands of potential recruits, alluding that they've had contact with some, that others have expressed interest, but they specifically called out Michael Nakazawa. They were talking to the Exalted One, who was off screen, who was asking about Kenny Omega. They were saying they go through Nakazawa to reach Omega. Brandon Cutler was shown. Adam Page is another target. This is kind of furthering what we've been talking about. Now, do we want to talk about the rumors of the Exalted One? I mean, we talked about this the other night. I mean, do you think, Matt, they're leaning too hard on this idea that if Matt Hardy doesn't join AEW, that this is going to be like a really crappy payoff?
How much are they pushing that this is Matt Hardy, though, first? Let me ask.
What do you think, Justin?
Oh, I'll pass. I mean, look, this is well. First off,
how hard? I didn't know that they're pushing Matt Hardy as the Exalted One.
No, that's the speculation. But the fact they keep referring to the Exalted One, I feel like AEW is very aware that this is what people are speculating. And we've talked about this before. Fans can paint themselves into a corner.
It's become the worst kept secret that Matt's contract is up here in like 6 weeks with WWE. That's become like the worst kept secret. And obviously WWE has not used Matt in tremendous fashion recently. And so, like, because that's out there and Matt's got his free to delete videos, which has got a lot of speculation, Matt's really good at that stuff. AEW is leaning into all the internet rumors of Matt Hardy wants to go back to his woken, broken character. He does. He loves that character. WWE did not buy into it the way that he wanted to. And so AEW is leaning into the internet rumors of, wow, what if we could get Matt to be the leader and let's have this leader be, let's string it along who it is. So, I mean, yeah, they're leaning into it. And if it's not Matt, if they don't end up getting Matt to do it, if that's not what they want, I mean, there's enough other people that are out there that they could plug in there. I mean, that are left WWE. So
I agree with Tammy. What Tammy says, read that, Glenn. Tammy's right.
Yes, she's saying it's the fans, same fans who swore that Liv was going to come back with Bray. I think fans do it. That's why I think it's a mistake for AEW to even give the fans an inch in this regard, because it's just going to make it more disappointing when the reveal happens.
So let me ask you something. You guys think that AEW was just minding their own business, booking the Dark Order, and then what? People said, "Hey, online, wouldn't it be cool if Matt Hardy was like the head leader?" And then what? Are you saying then AEW then from that moment on started doing this Exalted One business?
No, reverse. I think AEW has known that they wanted to. AEW is obviously they've known they wanted to have some higher power be Dark Order. I think now they are going to string these vignettes along more, noting that there's a voice off screen, there's a power that's influencing that we're not seeing, knowing that it's got people speculating. And who knows? Maybe Matt might have not been their first choice, but maybe Matt becomes available and they plug him into that. But I think they're just leaning into letting people speculate, essentially.
Oh my God. GOA when Brooks wrote "It will be Hornswoggle." God help us. I was gonna say, if it's not a big payoff, then here's what needs to happen. Uno needs to literally gut him off camera, whoever the real leader is, so that they don't ever reveal it. And then if Uno comes out, you know what I mean, and takes that surprise away from everybody, gets some more heat. Because they're going to have a lot to live up to if they continue to go down that road. That I've even heard internet people try to say it's Jim Cornette, which would be a cold day in hell, and he had ever worked there. Do you know what I mean? So there is good speculation, tons of it, which is sometimes good, sometimes it's not. I don't know.
It's just the thought of Jim Cornette doing that.
Can you imagine Jimmy's head? Jimmy's head would literally blow off of his shoulders. Of just
he got me the fucking evil Uno guy.
Poor Jimmy. Poor Jimmy wouldn't be able to get through the first 3 minutes of one of those first matches without going, "What in the bleep is this?"
And in his tennis racket, the case around the tennis racket has a Dark Order logo.
Maybe it's Vince Russo. Maybe it's Eric Bischoff.
Bro. Do you guys skateboard? Do you guys know how to skateboard? To the Young Bucks. He asked this question.
Bro.
Eric Bischoff would actually be a pretty decent payoff to this.
What?
Not right now. No, he wouldn't.
You don't think so?
No.
Take the pen away from Glenn. No.
He's not doing anything. I mean, I don't know.
But if there was more time, we just didn't find out all this crap about him coming back to WWE, being part of the creative. If he had just gone off for a while, done his podcast, right, had nothing to do with active being in the business, okay, then I could see that. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a surprise.
But yeah,
he's too close still to the business because he's just still too close to the business because he just left WWE.
Okay. Not by that. So we had Sammy Guevara versus Jon Moxley. The winner moves on to next week's #1 contenders match.
Ooh, come on, the hits keep coming. This shit was awesome.
This was good. Although, okay, here's my minor point. I think if they were going to do the run-in attack after, why have Guevara lose this match?
I agree somewhat because Guevara was 2-0 and was winning his matches, and I still think that dude. I think everybody thinks he's money.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better. Why would you have him lose here, right? If he didn't need to do it. Here's why. Because I think their whole argument in the past had been, we're not going to cheat in you viewers. We're going to give you legitimate finishes of matches.
Yes. How many DQs have you seen in AEW? They made it, and sometimes it's to their detriment, as I talk about when the referees are off doing whatever for 3 minutes at a time, but they seem steadfast to making sure there is a winner. It's kind of like ECW always had a winner and had ECW rules, but AEW won't acknowledge that there's AEW rules.
Here's the other thing, really quick. One other thing I wanted to say is this is also though why, because of having definitive finishes, they do book themselves in corners because eventually, like the Kenny Omegas are going to have losses on their records and so on, like happened the first go around. You see what I'm saying? And then they got into a place where Young Bucks had a ton of losses, right? And so did Kenny. The guys that need to have wins, it's impossible unless you have like 300 people on your roster and you can feed them people just to continuously beat. But then once they go against a Moxley, something's got to give there. So we're not going to see people with like 25-2 as their record down the road. There's no way. There's not enough talents there for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, no one's record, Matt, will be as good as your record of being correct in arguments with your wife. I mean, here we are in 2020.
Where'd that come from?
It was a throwback.
Is that an inside joke I'm not aware of?
So random.
That was a throwback. Do I have to remember, Matt? It was a throwback. It was a couple months ago. We talked about if every time you had a fight with your wife, an argument, if there was a popped on screen like, here's Matt's record for the year and the times he was writing the argument, and Matt said it would be 50-0.
Good memory, Glenn.
Sorry, I went into
desperately. You're desperately trying to get me heat. My wife's probably watching the show right now at an airport, connecting flights. I gotta pick her up at 12:30 this evening. So, hi, honey, if you're watching. Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my wife used the word gawping, and I insisted that gawping was not a real word, and she can't just make up words. And then she, like, within seconds was on Merriam-Webster proving me wrong. Yeah. So my record
what
probably
is it? Gawping.
GAWPIN. It means the same as a PING, same as gawking. It means the exact same thing as gawking, like with a gobsmacked look, gawping. And I insisted.
Yeah, I would have too. I would have too.
Yeah, so my record not as good as Matt's apparently in marital arguments. Anyhow, going with this match. So this was a great match between these guys, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen a DQ or something. I think it's weird that Moxley's got to have a #1 contenders match against PAC next week. I get that. I thought it was already set in stone. I thought we all knew Moxley was facing Jericho.
Yeah, me too. Why? What's the need for this? I don't get it.
Well, they're doing it next week on the Jericho Cruise, so I kind of feel like they just Shotgun made up a reason to have an attraction for the Jericho Cruise.
Yeah.
See, they got to be careful of that. Those are the type of things they need to be careful of.
Yeah.
And we talk about production. I talk about production in these arenas. I'm very curious to watch what production is going to be on this Jericho Cruise next week. That's where the show's happening.
They're showing that on TV.
That next week's Dynamite is coming from the cruise. So think Monday Nitro from Panama City is the way I think of this.
I loved Nitro from Panama City.
Somebody's going into the ocean. Somebody's going into the pool.
Everybody made fun of that. I thought it was so cool at the time.
Yeah. So after this match, the Inner Circle shows up, attacks Moxley, and the big thing is Jericho hit him in the eye with a spike. So Moxley's in the corner. They really sold the hell out of that. We saw him later in the night coming out with his eye covered up. Lots of jokes, of course, at his expense about the pirate look he's going to be rocking. But man, to be on a boat, one eye, and dealing with the motion of the ocean, like, dude's going to need some Dramamine. That sounds like not a fun match to wrestle.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Wrestling on a boat just sounds miserable. I don't even care if the boat's still. Yeah. Not good. So
hey, Lex suplexed Yoko on a boat, right?
Aircraft carrier, dude. That thing is a freaking city.
Yeah. How bad do you think
the wake is in that? Yeah, you think there's any kind of wake or rocking up and down on that? No way.
Yeah, definitely not. So this was cool, right? I mean, this was a high point of the night. I think they're really doing everything right in building up this Moxley and Jericho match for Revolution. I just thought this was fantastic.
Except in the number one contendership versus PAC. It's gonna be a great match. I just don't like that they just threw it out there like that. But I'm totally picking nits. This match was badass. The entire storyline with Jericho versus Moxley is badass. It's amazing. It's a very good storyline.
Yes. Anthony Y pointing out Moxley will be looking like the bad guy from Waterworld. We can only hope.
Or One-Eyed Willie from Goonies.
That's what we should do in Tampa. We should make Raj Giri watch Goonies with us in an audience since he's never seen the film.
That'll get old after like 10 minutes.
Will it? Goonies is still pretty rad.
Raj is just going to sit there red-faced. That's what Raj does when he gets embarrassed. He just sits there red-faced.
Okay, we'll see.
I don't know. I went and had drinks with him in New Orleans. He and his wife.
That doesn't count. No. That does not count. Him drinking. That doesn't count.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say he was a pretty good time.
That NWO Raj is a frigging 3-ring circus of fun. I want to hang out with NWO Raj every night of the week if I could.
Here's what
Raj was cool. His wife was cooler than him.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's what we do.
I want to meet her. That's cool.
He's great.
In Tampa, but we lie to Raj and we're like, oh, Raj, we're going to this thing, an indie show. We're going to be the guest of honor from the podcast. And we walk in and it's a movie theater and we're watching Goonies. So nobody tell Raj this is the plan. We're going to trick him.
We're a guest of honor from the podcast.
Club Beach Party is having us the guest of honor. No, it's not the regular location. This is a special separate event with the Bullet Club. You need to show up.
Raj, you're getting an award. Website owner of the year. We got to go honor you. Dress up nice. He gets out of tux. He's taking to the movie theater.
Or we just take him into a room and it's an old CRT TV with a VCR hooked up to it. And we're going to watch Goonies on VHS as God intended.
Raj, the Bullet Club wants to make you an honorary member. We're just coming to support you.
Yeah. Good Lord.
I'm just waiting for his video feed to drop into this right now. I'm waiting for him to. I know he's like listening somewhere. I'm sure he's
definitely.
Anyhow, MJF, the Blade, and the Butcher with the Bunny and Wardlow in tow versus Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, and DDP. I was really looking forward to this match.
Were you really?
Yeah, because I wanted to see DDP. I mean, I thought he was going to get a little bit more than he got. He really didn't get to do a whole lot in this.
It's tough. It's super tough to get back in the ring and wrestle after. God, I think I only took like 3 years off or something like that. Went back to Impact for a little bit. Dude, it was hard.
And he's 63.
Yes. a little bit longer period of time off too.
Yeah, right.
I just want to believe.
Imagine having been in prison for the last 20 years, or having been like Austin Powers cryogenically frozen, and you get thawed out, or you release from prison, and you turn on TNT, and 20 years later, here's DDP wrestling with Tony Schiavone on commentary. What the fuck? Like you didn't miss a thing. You didn't miss anything. 20
That
years.
was long. I will say something that was lost on me. Tony Schiavone calling the action for a DDP match. That was lost on
TNT. It's just,
yeah,
on TNT. Yeah.
So Camera missed the final pinfall in this, which was QT Marshall getting rolled up. I guess this explains why QT Marshall was in the match.
Yes.
But
and I thought they tipped their hand too much with that. I mean, as far as what you just said, that's exactly why he was in that match, and because he's never on TV, that's a dead giveaway. But you'd rather have him to be someone like that than somebody that can't afford like a loss.
Yeah. I think part of it is just DDP now. I feel like he's just, I mean, so he's a bigger star now because he's brought in all these people that weren't even wrestling fans that follow him. And they put DDPY over big time on commentary tonight. Okay. And I think he put it over as well with how good he looks for 63. But anyhow, so MJF, the Butcher, and the Blade won this match. And then after we got a promo with SCU, asked about their match next week against Omega and Page. And a drunk Adam Page rolled up and interrupted, get some of his drink on Christopher Daniels. Omega calms him down. And what are they doing with Adam Page? It looks between this and a segment with Private Party. I mean, it seems like this is going to be an alcohol angle. Right? They've now carried this through a couple weeks.
Yeah. Hey, look. Let's see where it goes. Like we always say, we want storylines. This is a storyline.
Sure.
I just want to see where it goes.
You think it's going to turn in? Speaking of Saved by the Bell, you think it's going to turn into a very special episode at the end where everyone has like an intervention for Hangman Page?
It's not cool. It's not cool to spike the rum there, Screech.
It's leading for him to turn heel. Obviously, that's my opinion.
Yeah. I trust AEW to do an intervention segment more than I trust WWE to do an intervention segment.
Okay.
Yeah. I probably trust anyone. I trust a local elementary school to do an intervention skit with more nuance than WWE would.
Well, to be fair, though, but AEW would probably miss the camera shot of the person admitting their first step of addiction.
Is admitting it that problem.
So.
Yeah.
Touche.
Marco Stunt gets up to talk about how Page has wronged him, and the mic's not on. These are things that have actually happened on AEW programming. So we had PAC versus Darby Allin. Oh, it was announced on February 19th in Atlanta. It will be Cody versus Wardlow in that steel cage. And we got PAC versus Darby Allin in the main event here. Winner moves on to the number one contenders match against Jon Moxley. And wouldn't you know it, PAC got the win via pinfall over Darby Allin tonight.
It's another loss. Wait, didn't Darby Allin just lose?
He's lost a lot. He's lost a lot.
To Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is where rubber has to meet the road eventually, with these wins and losses meaning things, right? I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, right? Can't have PAC lose, especially in a number one contenders match coming up.
That's what's weird. That's what's weird. Every match that Darby's in, when I'm getting ready to watch it, I'm like, Darby's probably not going to win. But yet, I'm serious. But like when he goes against Cody, he's not going to win. He goes against PAC, he's not going to win. But I'm no less interested in him every time I see him. So I don't know if that's
Me too.
I don't know if it's a pat on the back to them or I don't know.
It's a pat on the back to him that he's so damn good that he's going to lose versus these bigger stars, and you walk away going, I was incredibly entertained. This dude is money. He is. He's fun to watch. He really is.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like him better. I know PAC is awesome, but I like what's his name better?
Darby. And that's the point. That's why I'm frustrated. I still stand by this. Like, of everyone in AEW, you tell me, who do I pick to be one of my top talents? And I think this kid, because there's no one else like him.
Nope, exactly.
You know,
He's
and
one of a kind.
With PAC, this is not to take away from PAC's wrestling ability, but I don't know. I mean, is he ultimately like a top guy? I don't know. I mean, we know he's losing to Moxley next week.
Well, it's also hard to picture him a top guy when he is. I mean, he's a clear, obviously, like vicious heel, and their top guy. You know, when you have a heel champion in Jericho, it's hard. Like, I mean, it's hard for the ceiling for PAC is only so high because, like, as long as Jericho's the title holder,
they only have 3 top guys. That's Cody, that's Jericho, and that's Moxley. Who else?
Yeah.
We're talking top guys here.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking John Cena and Roman Reigns for WWE, top guy.
I just think about who I would tune in to watch a weekly television show about.
Dude, the whole roster, almost the whole roster. Bucks, Kenny, Hangman Page, Darby, dude we're just talking about right now's match. What's his name? Come on. Panda.
Sammy Guevara.
What's his name? Sammy Guevara. Damn it.
Okay,
I haven't watched his YouTube show. That's how pathetic that is. I did not remember his name.
But let me ask you this, man. It's the weekend. You just finished binge watching The Mandalorian for the second time.
Okay.
You see on Netflix, there are 2 series you can watch. One is about that bastard PAC, or one is about Darby Allin, this crazy kid with a death wish.
No challenge whatsoever, Darby. Yes.
Yeah, that's my point. And I would say over most people on the roster, Darby's someone who I would watch a TV show about alone every week because I think the guy just got mad charisma, crazy intriguing. So I hope they have something for him. But PAC won this tonight. Now, PAC, after talking to Tony Schiavone, saying that it looks like Moxley's going to forfeit next week, Moxley got out of the ambulance, marched back into the ring, marched back onto the ramp, said, I don't care if I'm blind. If I've got one eye, no eyes. I don't care if I'm half dead. He is facing PAC next week to get that number 1 contendership to face Jericho at Revolution.
I believe him.
Mm-hmm. I thought they were going to go overtime tonight. I thought they were going to give a little FU to NXT because they knew that Battle Royal was going to be hot.
I don't think they can.
Well, obviously, they can't. There's something called The Next Show coming on.
Right.
It was a showing of Pain and Gain, which is a very good movie.
Oh, it's hilarious. I love that movie.
Probably The Rock's best acting work.
He did really well in that, you got to admit. And he's freaking yoked.
Speaking of The Rock, R.I.P. Rocky Johnson.
Yes. Very sad. We'll talk about that.
Rocky Johnson died today?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That was one of our news items. I just figured it was a segue to put it in there right now.
It's a segue.
Well, but you said The Rock.
Justin, you could do an entire show about Rocky Johnson and eulogizing him, talking about.
Listen to me. He showed me how to throw my first wrestling working punch.
Yeah, he passed away today.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. He was our trainer for a little bit in OVW.
Really? I didn't know he was still training then.
He was.
Wow.
Holy crap! I need to start reading wrestling websites again. I didn't know that.
Sorry, I'm not laughing in the circumstance. No, I thought you would have seen that, Matt. That was definitely all over the place today. Justin, do we want to cover that now, just before we jump into NXT?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. I mean, he passed away. He was sorry, pull him back up here. He was 75. This was right off Wrestling Inc. No word yet on what led to his passing. But the news came out tonight. So yeah, I mean, obviously, his accolades, well known, well documented. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool too. Both AEW Dynamite and NXT started with a in memoriam slide for him. I thought that was very class. You'd expect WWE to do so since he worked for WWE, and of course, The Rock being the WWE family. I thought it was very classy at AEW to also to do that. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Let's talk about NXT, and I feel like we're going to get through this pretty quickly.
Let's just do the highlights. We're not going to go. So we don't need to go segment by segment.
Which is a shame.
No, we don't.
Like I don't want to make a habit of this. I'm just stating I don't want to make a habit of this.
We just have to go with what the vibe is, and the vibe is that NXT was just clear second fiddle. Let's just take the headlines real quick. So
Keith Lee came out. They opened the show not with his match against Roderick Strong for the North America Championship. Instead, he cut a promo, but he was beat down by Undisputed Era. They were talking about what they did to Imperium, Tommaso Ciampa, and saying Lee is next. Then let's see. Ciampa ran down to the ring. Yeah. Lee did fight them off. It was good. I was distracted by the fact that Lee had Keith Lee had the shirt that said Legion with the 2 E's. I was like, that is brilliant. But all in all, man, just don't start with a promo segment when your competition's going with a really, really hot match like AEW did tonight. Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic match. The Broserweights, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne versus Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews.
I thought this match was too long. It didn't need to be this long. Riddle and Dunne win. I thought this was like almost too competitive. Like, I know it's the oddball pairing of the two of Dunne and Riddle, but it just went too long. Like, it doesn't need to be this long. They should have. Their win could have came quicker.
Yep.
I agree with Pipe Bombs. Waiting on the return of Velveteen Dream. I feel like his presence is missed more and more every week on NXT. They
absolutely
desperately need him back. After that, we saw what happened at TakeOver UK this past weekend with the Undisputed Era attacking Imperium. Did you watch TakeOver UK or highlights from it, Matt?
I did.
Yeah, so that was the end of the show. And
I watched the whole show.
Yeah. Undisputed Era.
Which basically gives away what the end of this Dusty Tag tournament is.
Yeah. It does. It does.
Then Keith Lee was rushed in after the attack on his leg. Next week's title match is in jeopardy. We'll have an update later tonight. Then Ciampa named the Velveteen Dream Imperium, and Keith Lee said it's clear the Undisputed Era has a hit list, but so does he, and NXT champion Adam Cole is on his hit list. So he wants his life back. He's taking it back. Undisputed Era rushed in and beat him down. And then Gargano came out to team up with him. DIY chants filled Full Sail. Do you think this was almost like an understated moment? Should this have been bigger, Matt, tonight? Gargano and Ciampa?
As far as what? Being advertised? What do you mean?
Well, no, I mean, just they had this moment, but they've had some moments that have showed they were cool in recent weeks. I feel like this would have been a really good takeover surprise, right? To have Gargano come out, save Ciampa, getting the band back together.
Definitely. I agree with that. But, we just got on them for not having good content on their show.
Yeah.
Opposite of AEW, this is really good content.
Yeah. We have the Time Splitters tonight, Alex Shelley and Kushida versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson. What did you think of this match where the Grizzled Young Veterans won?
Grizzled Young Veterans is a terrible name, but they are really good. I caught their act on the NXT UK this weekend. I was impressed by them. I'm pissed my boy Alex Shelley was involved in a losing match, but happy he was on TV.
Want to get your take on this, Matt. So we saw footage from earlier today of Chelsea Green with Robert Stone, Robbie E, out there together. Mm-hmm. And Robert Stone talking about she was the hottest free agent. Now she's part of the Robert Stone brand. Meltzer acknowledging this is probably a parody of Tony Khan with what they're doing with Robert Stone. And Robbie E is Robert Stone.
What am I missing?
No.
Someone asked Meltzer. He said he didn't think originally, but Meltzer said after seeing it in action, they think that they're having the Robert Stone character come across very much like Tony Khan from AEW.
I don't get that at all.
I don't think so. And I will admit there's a little bit of resemblance to what the Robbie Stone character looks like to Tony Khan, but I'm pretty sure Robbie has been like working on this alter ego idea of the character before Tony Khan became a figure to wrestling fans.
First of all, this has nothing to do with Tony Khan. It's friggin' Arliss Michaels. How do you guys anybody not see this? That is Arliss, world-renowned sports agent.
I just had to Google it because I was like, is Matt Morgan really making a reference to the 1990 show Arliss here in the year 2020?
I am.
Wow. Big Arliss fan?
It's what it is. He's a sports agent.
I think, Matt, you're the only person that knows the character Arliss's last name. That's where I was like, he can't be talking about the show. Nope, Arliss Michaels. That was his name. Okay, there you have it.
But it is. He's a sports agent.
Yes.
I don't get the connection to Tony Khan whatsoever.
So was Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire, fine, but
okay,
a little bit different. This one's a little more motivational.
Yeah, okay, I could see it.
In a heel sense, but continue.
Yes. Tyler Breeze versus Leo Rush versus Isaiah Swerve Scott to see who's going to be the number one contender for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And I don't know. I mean, this seemed pretty predetermined that Swerve was going to come out the victor here.
Yes, yes, no question. Breeze does not need to be in this, by the way. He's a bigger star than this.
But with Fandango potentially injured again, Breeze has got to do something. I would love to see Breeze get a run at anything.
Yeah. Something a little bit more major than that, but yeah, okay.
So it's going to be a fatal four-way at Worlds Collide with Swerve, Angel Garza, the champion, and 2 NXT UK superstars to be named. Rhea Ripley cut a promo, mentioned how she's going to defeat Toni Storm at Worlds Collide. So we'll see what happens there. And of course, if she retains, she's going to go to TakeOver Portland. How was the women's match at TakeOver UK too? Or Blackpool?
Dude, you didn't see it?
I didn't have a chance to yet. I was busy at some live events this week.
Pretty damn impressive. Pretty damn good, dude. It seriously was good.
Oh, I'll check it out. Let's see. So backstage we had Kathy Kelly with Johnny Gargano. She asked about saving Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa comes up and thanks him. Gargano asks if Ciampa heard about the challenge from Mustache Mountain. They agree to team up again for old time's sake. Undisputed Era ran over, security stopped them from attacking. Keith Lee ran over, put someone in the bushes with a pounce. Lee's angry, tossed someone into the windshield of a car, shattering it, and tossed another guy onto a table. Lee says the prophecy will end next week. This was I'm thinking about this. This was a really cool segment that was buried in kind of a mediocre show. Like this.
It was. This made him look like an animal. It made him look like a beast.
Yeah. Like when's the last time someone got taught? I mean, the car thing, yeah, it was cool. It was a cool moment. I'm surprised.
It was.
Just unfortunately, there was a lot of uninteresting stuff tonight, but not the main event. So, and they did announce it will be DIY reunited against Mustache Mountain at Worlds Collide. Man, DIY's reunion at Worlds Collide, I didn't think was that big of a deal, but they're treating this like a takeover, even though we've got a takeover a month from today. But that's going to happen in Royal Rumble weekend. But let's talk about the Battle Royal tonight to crown a new number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. We had Tegan Nox, Mercedes Martinez, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Vanessa Bourne, Kaden Carter, Mia Yim, Santana Garrett, Io Shirai, Shotzi Blackheart, Zia Lee, Casey Catanzaro, Shayna Baszler, Catalina, MJ Jenkins, Deonna Purrazzo, Jessica Mia, and Indy Hartwell. Forget WWE women's show. Just give me these women on a show.
Dude, frigging stacked. There's not one weak link in there. Okay, someone can make a few arguments here and there for some of them, fine. But come on. Like 99.9%, that is grade A badass wrestlers. Like A pluses across the board as far as how damn talented and good they are and how much. Dude, they're just some different level. I agree with you, Glenn, on that.
Yeah, this is all I need, man. And with Casey coming back tonight, that was huge. Big surprise.
Yeah.
We were told she was done.
She got a great pop, too.
I thought so.
She got a great pop. This is like NXT just kind of rubbing it into AEW, saying, look at us. We have so many great females. We can have a great battle royal.
There's so many of them. And that was that's what it felt like. It was like they're taking all their toys out. Like, remember when you were a kid? I don't know if you guys did this. I'm totally going to make fun of myself, but here we go. Add this to my Hulk Hogan mockery, all right? Hulk Hogan doll mockery, folks. But I used to take all my before one of my friends would come over after school, right? I would set up the night before all of my Transformers on top of my bureau. Autobots versus Decepticons. And I'd have them all like positioned and shit, like they're battling. It was my way of showing off of all my badass Transformers because I had the most in my class. And that was my way of putting it on display and like showing off. Like that's some serious dorkdom shit. Let's just call a spade a spade. But that's what this tonight felt like with AEW putting out all their, NXT putting out all those women, all the great talents they have in that women's division and flaunting that.
Right.
Like, P.S. This is better than Raw's division. P.S. This is better than SmackDown's division.
They could have just had a triple threat or fatal four way that had Shayna who came back. They could have just had Shayna. They could have just had Shayna. They could have just had Shayna, Shirai, and Bianca. And just had that, and the winner. But they said, no, we're going to toss them all out there just so you guys can see that we have so much deeper of a women's roster.
So much.
Than what the opposition has. It was, and I'm feeling Bianca. Bianca won. I'm feeling Bianca. I'll tell you what, every time I hear her music, I find myself doing like the LaBar jiggle. I'm just doing this. And then like I'm watching the screen. I can't take my eyes off the screen. I am feeling Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
Hot committed to Bianca Belair. Fine.
There you have it.
She's been a mega star from the minute she was on that screen, dude. From day one, you could see it.
Absolutely. Like I said, if you had a fighting game of women's wrestling, she's the character I'm picking all the time.
Right?
Yeah. I'm spamming that hair attack. Like Blanca
over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm walking through Southeast Washington, D.C., I'm taking Bianca Belair with me.
There you have it. No, this was great. And let's talk about this. Shayna Baszler entering the match tonight. Right? Mm-hmm. Former champ, longest NXT women's champ, entering this match. And I'm thinking, oh shit, she's going to win this. They're going to give her a swan song match to make Rhea at TakeOver Portland. And then goddamn Shotzi Blackheart eliminated Shayna Baszler tonight. I had the guy, the best man at my wedding, one of my oldest friends, the guy that was in a band with me, had to tweet at him tonight where he does a podcast with Shotzi Blackheart about horror movies. And I was like, next time I see you, I have to explain to you what a huge deal this was for your girl tonight, that she eliminated Shayna freaking Baszler from a Royal Rumble or from a Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Huge.
It was huge.
Shotzi, huge star in the making. There's so much talent on that NXT women's roster, but Bianca Belair did come out victorious tonight. She's going to face Rhea Ripley at TakeOver Portland. I'm ready to say it. I don't care what goes on last. That for me is going to be the main event of that TakeOver. This match should be so incredible.
No question. Why would they make that the main? You know what I mean?
Because Undisputed Era is probably going to have something going on.
I don't think that needs to be the main. I really don't.
I feel like Rhea, what they did with her victory and have the audience come in and hold her up. I think Rhea's a draw right now.
She is.
But it is going to be weird though, because remember, TakeOver Portland, there's no WWE, there's no SmackDown in the same city the night before, there's no WWE pay-per-view in town the night after. So this is going to be interesting. Is TakeOver Portland sold out, Justin? Nope, is it a big venue? Like, I'm really curious how this is going to look. And dude, this is
I don't know.
First time in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. And Portland's not a regular market they run, so I don't know if that helps or hurts them here. I don't know if that helps them in terms of people clamoring to just see live, WWE, or if it's a. I can't imagine they decide to go do a pay-per-view in a market if they felt it was too soft. But I don't know.
Ernie is saying Bianca will lose though, right? Okay with it, but excited for both. Bianca's got to lose.
Yes.
Yes. Rhea's got to. Yeah.
Matt, how excited were you to see Shayna Baszler back in NXT?
Well,
I thought this was great. I was going to say this was good use of her. This got somebody else over.
Do you think tonight is the last time we see Shayna Baszler in NXT?
I don't know how to answer that because
no.
I think they are stuck right now in the conundrum of NXT's an equal brand.
And I think, as I've said before, she got to be part of that main event at Survivor Series and it didn't go the way Vince wanted. And I think NXT. Not that Triple H wouldn't want her in NXT, but I think basically it's kind of like, all right, we're not using her on Raw or SmackDown. I think she's just going to be back in NXT, which maybe that's the best thing for her. Maybe she fits the best there. I don't know, but
and Alonzo Smith predicting Rhea's going to defeat Toni Storm at Worlds Collide and Bianca at TakeOver Portland. Yeah, I think Rhea's going to have that title for a very long time, unless Vince interferes. And keep your hands off Rhea Ripley. She is perfect where she is in NXT right now.
They all are.
Yeah,
they all are. I don't want to see them go any of those other shows unless. See, I wish the women didn't have to stick to one show. I wish we could see like crossovers. You know what I mean? So like Charlotte Flair shows up and wrestles Rhea, just on NXT. Do you know what I mean? Or stuff like that. I don't know. There's so many good talents in that damn division.
No, I agree. So what else do we got before we wrap this up here, Justin?
We covered two of the three already. Obviously, we talked about the AEW TV. We talked about the passing of Rocket Johnson. The only other story that we were going to bring up here is Triple H apologizes to Paige. Just to catch everybody up real quick, Triple H did some media while they were over in the UK this past weekend. He did a kind of just a sit down at a table with some local media, and he was just kind of going on and on. I don't even remember the context, but he basically, you can watch the video. It's on Wrestling Inc. He basically it was just a very in passing comment joke of like, oh, maybe they don't have kids they don't know about, or well, maybe Paige does. He basically made a joke that Paige might have kids that she's not aware of. You can go watch the video to see the context of what, it wasn't a premeditated, you can just watch it. Anyways, the internet exploded with that. Paige even commented and quoted a tweet that had the video and said, well, of course I'm still going to get bullied in life. My own boss is still, Triple H got a lot of flack, and other women stepped up in defense of Paige saying, not cool that Triple H would make a joke like this and just insensitive. Triple H did go public today though and said that he did ultimately apologize to Paige. He said he's reached out to Paige to apologize, made a terrible joke. He's sorry if it offended her or anyone else. So some closure to what has been one of the top stories of the week, which is that. So
there you have it.
Yep.
He is at BP Matt Morgan. He's at Justin LaBar. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. We'll catch you back here Friday. Actually, no, I won't be here this Friday. But Matt will with Raj and Michael.
Boo.
Sorry, dude. I got comedy to go watch. Sketchfest is going on in San Francisco for the next couple weeks. But I'll be back here Monday. We'll talk about Raw. It'll all be good.
When do you think, really quick before we leave the air, should we tell the fans now about mine and your podcast that we're opening? Or should we wait until next? Let's wait till next week to talk about that on the air after Raw. There we go.
Oh, I'm getting a text from Raj. I'm going to get a text from Raj.
Your fans are going to love this announcement. You can only hear it after Raw coming up Monday night.
What happened?
Get him to tune in.
What happened in the Limp Bizkit podcast, Glenn?
Work, lifetime.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great evening.
Go pick up your wife. Go drive to the airport.
I gotta go. Sir.
Okay.
12:34.
Catch you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.
Hillsborough County
Love you guys.
Pull you over.